Okay guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to talk about what I see as my approach to sort of sexual desire and how I think you can sort of master this mysterious and destructive force within you. I'm still very early on in this, and I'm more just going to give my kind of basic sort of steps as I climb the mountain. So don't take anything that I say too seriously here. But this is kind of a really interesting topic that I want to get into more. So yeah, hang around. Basically, what I'm going to talk about is there seem to me to be sort of two camps in how we deal with sexual desire today. There's people recognise that sexual desire is a powerful drive within human beings, and like I say, there are kind of two ways to deal with it. One is this kind of very sort of often associated with religion, this very sort of religious approach to it of just effectively repressing the sexual desire, which is you see it in most sort of established world religions. There'll be a sort of separation of the sexes. Big focus on no sex outside of a marital context, and like going to certain lengths to sort of not arouse sexual desire where it's inappropriate, which is outside of a marriage, basically. That's kind of the one. That's one way to deal with sexual desire is repressing it, and then there's another way of dealing with it, which we kind of have in the West now, which is like, no, you shouldn't repress sexual desire. You should embrace it, and there's this kind of idea that, which is kind of a reaction against in the UK, a reaction against Christianity, which was 100 years ago, sex was very taboo in much of the Western world, but particularly in England, in Victorian England, there's this real sort of tabooness about sex, and now we have this kind of reaction against it with the sexual revolution, where people say like, sex is good, your sexual desire is good, it's an enjoyable part of life. You should embrace it, and we have this sort of culture now where like it's okay to masturbation is encouraged and it's good. Watching porn is good. Sex that in a casual context is all good. And yeah, so those are kind of the two arguments basically. And I'm kind of not quite sure what words to use. But one is effectively to repress the sexual desire unless it's in a sort of married context, and otherwise you don't talk to women without a sort of chaperone who, if you're of a similar age, sort of the virtue of modesty, dressing up in a way that's not provocative. There's even this thing that tablecloths, I don't know if this is true, but apparently tablecloths were originally invented because a table leg sort of resembles too closely like an actual woman's leg, and they were worried that it was going to arouse sexual desire in people. I don't know if that's true or not. That seems to be a bit silly. But that's the first sort of idea. And the second idea is this thing of like, no, don't repress it. That's bad for the soul. You should just, if you have a sexual desire, you should be able to enjoy it. You should be able to enjoy sex with people outside of marriage, or even outside of a committed relationship. Masturbation is healthy. Porn is good. All this kind of stuff. So those are the two positions. Now I'm not happy with either of them, to be honest with you. And the reason for that is because both are missing out on what I fundamentally think is like the sexual desire is there for. And I read this book recently, a bit of a while ago, but I've been rereading it, called The Way of Superior Man. And the way they talk about sexual desire in The Way of Superior Man is just completely different. So they really separate it from like it being this kind of either this destructive force that you need to repress, or this kind of this really like fun, this like thing that you need to indulge. Instead, David Data kind of talks about sexual desire as this sort of really primal instinct within you that's a gift to be cherished. But he says you shouldn't cherish it by kind of releasing it through an orgasm. And there's kind of this second view that I want to talk more about, and like basically what the sort of words he uses is if you have sort of sexual desire within you, you should be able to circulate it through your body. And you know, I don't quite know exactly what he means by this, but I don't know about you, but when you say circulate sexual desire through your body, there is a kind of image that comes to mind there that makes sense. And if you know this sort of nofap and stuff like that, you'll know that there's this sort of movement of like keeping sexual desire within you, like allows you to fulfill your purpose. You know, gives you more energy, stuff like this. And I think it's very much coming from the same root. And it's this kind of path of sort of not repressing your sexual desire, but neither just releasing it as soon as you get it, get the urge to, but rather sort of feeling it fully and sort of letting it teach you something. Is that kind of attitude that I think we should all have to sexual desire, and I think it balances the two other approaches perfectly in a more complete way. Because I'm quite certain that this modern approach of just indulging every sexual desire you have is wrong. Like, I don't think you should do that. Quite apart from anything else, you know, it's not practical. You know, you can't always release your sexual desire the moment you have it. You know, just because you can't, you know, like you can't always have sex when you want to. You know, it seems like not very practical to do that. But I also think there's a lot of, I don't really like the idea of burying your sexual desire. You know, in the same way that like you should bury your fear or bury sort of physical pain in the context of, you know, working out or something like that. I think you should be able to feel that because, or burying sadness or something like that. I don't really see the difference to that. I think, you know, emotions are there to teach us a lesson, and sexual desire is just, you know, effectively it's another emotion that we need to learn. And, you know, while we shouldn't let our emotions dictate what we do, you know, we should embrace them and let them teach us something. So anyway, what I'm going to talk about is just the basis of like what I see as like how to have this kind of more enlightened relationship with your sexual desire. And I'm going to go over so two things that I found that have helped. So one of them is, I haven't found this from anywhere, it's just like my own practice, is just journaling something. So if you have like a sexual desire, if you feel the need, the sort of urge to masturbate, a good thing to do is just to write down how it feels and sort of let that feeling grow within you. So like, where do you feel that sort of sexual desire in your body? You know, like, just pay attention to that. Is it that kind of cold feeling in your stomach, that kind of cold, exhilarating feeling? Or are you sort of fantasizing in your head, you know, you're getting certain thoughts? Like, where does it feel? And sort of write that down, and you'll feel that the sexual desire what you're doing when you're writing it down is you're allowing the sexual desire to sort of be there, and you'll find that it will increase. And when you start doing this practice, you know, you might find it quite difficult to, it might be quite overwhelming to suddenly like write down all this stuff about your sexual desire. You'll find you'll suddenly get you'll be sort of almost overwhelmed by the kind of feeling of sexual desire within you. So you might like need to release it in orgasm by masturbating or something like that to begin with. But with time, the idea behind it is you learn to sort of acknowledge your sexual desire and your feelings, and you can sort of be at peace with it. So that's one thing that can help sort of journaling how you feel. And the second thing is breathing exercises. So David Data in this book, what he talks about is that effectively sexual desire comes, like this kind of modern repression of sexual desire, it comes from like breathing poorly. So basically a bit of a tangent, but you know, in this kind of modern world where we have access to pornography and stuff like that, we learn lots of bad habits around sexual desire. We masturbate. We kind of explore masturbation ourselves. You know, no one really teaches us about like healthy habits around masturbation or consuming porn and stuff like that. We're very much left to our own devices with it. And as a result, we kind of learn these bad habits, and it comes out in our body. And one thing that you'll notice is a good indicator of like how sort of at peace you are with your sexual desire is how deeply you're breathing. So everyone knows that like you should breathe deeply for if you're anxious or you know you'd like to get into a meditative state of mind and stuff. And you know most people know it's kind of healthy and stuff like that. But it's also extremely linked to sexual desire. And if you feel this kind of nagging desire to release your sexual desire in masturbation or something like that, I can almost guarantee you that you're not breathing properly. And if you were able to breathe properly, then you wouldn't feel that. And this goes back to a sort of video that Hamza did quite recently where he talks about this. And basically what he said is you need to be able to breathe deeply into your stomach. And if you do that, then you can circulate, like I talked about earlier, you can sort of circulate this emotion of sexual desire better into your body to the point where it will still be there. You'll still feel sort of horny, basically. But it won't be horny like you need to masturbate. It will be more like horny. It's the kind of horniness that increases your alertness and increases your focus that you can then put into your work, or if you're sort of talking to a girl and you're breathing fully, you can put that sort of natural sexual desire into like talking to the girl, or you can put it into the gym or whatever you like. It just becomes like a nice extra sort of boost to your day. So what you do basically, and we'll just do this little experiment, basically what Hamza did as well, is just start by breathing into the chest and notice sort of where you stop. Because in theory, like you should be able to breathe into the chest and then right into the stomach. But for most people, we have lots of knots in our body from where we kind of we sort of, it's basically like us repressing certain aspects of ourselves. So just try breathing in with me and just notice where you stop. And breathe into the chest first and then go to breathe into the stomach. All right? So you'll see that basically I stop at about here into the chest. And that I can't really push my breath into my stomach. And so one thing that I've started doing when I get the chance is just constantly breathing into my chest as much as possible. And what I find is the more I do it, the more my chest starts to open up. And then eventually I feel my abdominal muscles, like my abs, starting to stretch as well. And what my hope is, like long term, is that if I keep doing this, I'll be able to breathe into the stomach as well. And then what I'll be able to do after that is breathe into the stomach and then into the chest. And that's like how you're meant to breathe. But one just good exercise to try is just practice breathing fully the way that you're meant to. And don't try and force like where you stop so much. Like going to the gym, you're not meant to do like a killer deadlift like the first time you hit the gym. You start off with something quite basic. You just start with the pole, the bar, or a squat. That would be maybe you don't do that for deadlift, but you do kind of what you're already able to do. But the more you practice it, like the further you can push yourself, and you push yourself these tiny little incremental stages along the way. And so if you keep practicing sort of breathing as deeply as you can, you'll find that over time you can breathe much deeper, much deeper. And that can be a weapon that you can use to sort of channel sexual desire into something positive. So it will be an emotion that you won't sort of trip you up and make you want to go off and masturbate or anything like that. But similarly, it won't be something that you're scared of, you know, that will distract your focus, because you'll just know how to deal with it. And you'll find this works with other things, like I say, like with anxiety, or, you know, with, I guess anxiety is the main one. But you'll begin to be able to just treat these sort of feelings within you more like just like something to learn from, rather than just like these annoying emotions that you wish you could get rid of. So yeah, whenever you can, just try doing that. And I do this quite a lot at work at the moment, because basically I'm a sort of door-to-door salesman basically, which is a very anxiety-inducing job, you know. And one thing that I do when I get on the doors is I'll just use this as like a good opportunity to practice just breathing in and out. And even if it doesn't give me relaxation in the moment, it's good practice. And then when someone opens the door, I'll be a little bit more relaxed. And that's not because I've gotten rid of the kind of anxious feelings inside of me, far from it. But I've had those anxious feelings are there to kind of make you focus. And then when someone's on the door, and you've taken a few deep breaths in, and you feel a little bit more alert, you know. And that's a real gift to have. And you can do this with all your emotions basically. But the one that people don't really talk about is sexual desire. So yeah, I hope you guys find some use in this. You know, again, I'm very early on in this topic, and there's a lot more that I'd like to talk about in the future, as I find like I'm more able to sort of talk about it. But I just think this is a great attitude to have towards sexual desire, because it's a real sort of reaction against kind of this. It's a much better way than like kind of this sort of no-fap thing of like. Because a lot of these no-fap YouTubers, if you don't know, like no-fap is basically where you just don't masturbate at all. A lot of them will talk about the benefits of not masturbating and how it gives you good focus and stuff like that. But what they won't really talk about is like how it actually feels to like positively channel sexual desire. And it seems to me that it's a bit cart before the horse. Like, yes, obviously it's great not to masturbate, but the more important thing is that like you know how to deal with the sexual desire that you get, and that you can circulate that properly. And it strikes me that you can get into a bit of a rut with no-fap, where you're able to not masturbate. You know, you're able to distract yourself from sexual desire, but effectively you haven't really gone anywhere, because fundamentally you still don't, when you do get a sexual urge, you don't know how to deal with it. And it seems to be much better that you can know how to deal with these emotions properly, so that you can integrate them into your body, rather than just kind of having this oppressive thing of like, oh no, just take yourself away from outside influences, and just focus on you know, like your work or whatever. I think the truth is, if you go out in the world, you are going to feel sexual desire, you know, at some point. And I think no-fap doesn't really have a good solution for how to deal with it. But this does. So yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there for now, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Definitely read Where's Superior Man if you want more info. And yeah, it's been a pleasure.